Happy New Year. How'd you get one? Psalm 33 is a great psalm for the new year, and it instructs us in how to produce joy in our lives. It starts, shout for joy in the Lord, O you righteous. Praise befits the upright. So it's fitting, and we express that joy and that praise by shouting, by not just by thinking, not just by gently talking, but stirring ourselves, rousing us, cheering and shouting the praises of God. Sometimes Christians are just far too restrained and quiet. We should abandon ourselves to worship the Lord. This joy that we're exhorted to stir ourselves up to is what we were created to experience. And the joy of the Lord is our strength. The joy of the Lord is something we should always be rejoicing in. And it shouldn't just be an internal thing. I don't know whether you've noticed this, but God, in verse 6 of Psalm 33, says, by the word of the Lord the heavens were made. God created the world by speaking. He could have just done it by thinking, but he did it by speaking. There was no one here, but he spoke anyway. And in that we can follow his example and be a people who speak. But what we are not exhorted to do in this psalm is follow his example by speaking creative words to bring things into being. We are not little gods. We don't have that kind of capacity. Instead, what we are told is that we are to be in awe of God. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him, for he spoke and it came to be. He commanded and it stood firm. Worship, praise, adoration, joyful singing, shouting, stirring ourselves up in the mighty praises of God. And in verse 10, it tells us here that the Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. Verse 9 says he spoke, it came to be. He commanded and it stood firm. His plans last. But the plans of the nations, rulers, those who oppose the Lord, they will not succeed. They won't prevail. They cannot. The counsel of the Lord stands forever. The plans of his heart to all generations. Rulers come, rulers go. Verse 16, the king is not saved by his great army. A warrior is not delivered by his great strength. So where does this leave us? It leaves us in a place of awesome worship to God. Our heart is glad because we trust in his holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be on us, even as we hope in you. Yeah, in verse 20, our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and shield. And so the psalm ends on this note of joy. Our heart is glad in him. It's in him. That's where we're really going to find a happy new year. Let your joy rise up and spill over. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice.